could not do this without my team. I'd crumble. Do you know what? I cried pretty much every day this camp.
And catching people in the body on the waist. Oh! Kicks the leg out from under.
So I still have like that kind of doubts. My coach was telling me, oh, do guillotine. I still like.
The moment, and I think I always like, if I speak to anyone about like MMA fights for females and stuff.
Dakota Ditcheva has become one of the most dominant rising forces in women's MMA, a fighter known for her dangerous speed, precise striking, and calm, methodical presence inside the cage. But now the world is talking about the possibility of her toughest challenge yet, a showdown with the undefeated knockout machine, Shanelle Dyer. The anticipation for this matchup has skyrocketed because both women have contrasting styles, shared history, and massive hype behind them. Dakota, the British-Bulgarian phenom, earned global recognition after dismantling Sumiko Inaba in her most recent fight, where she showcased clean elbows, sharp left hands, and flawless distance management. Despite suffering an arm injury during that battle, Dakota recovered quickly, completely healed and ready to compete again.
Like, you need to bring a bit more than that if you want to try and knock me out of this competition, because that's not going to work.
Meanwhile, Shanelle Dyer, often described as a nightmare, has built a reputation for wild aggression, explosive movement, and raw knockout power. Both fighters come from England, both once trained in similar circles, and both now stand as potential threats to each other's legacies. Their contrasting personalities make the matchup even more compelling. Dakota fights with supreme composure and patience, while Shanelle fights like a street brawler with absolute chaos in her eyes. Dakota's rise has been rapid but earned. In just 3 years as a professional fighter, she built a reputation for being technical, composed, and exceptionally intelligent inside the cage. Her striking is a blend of Muay Thai discipline and modern MMA fluidity, allowing her to dismantle opponents without unnecessary risks. Shanelle, however, embodies the opposite energy. She fights with no breaks, charging forward with fearless pressure, swinging heavy shots, and forcing opponents into uncomfortable exchanges. Her 3-0 PFL record reflects not just victories, but violence, as she thrives in chaotic exchanges and often overwhelms her opponents with sheer ferocity. That is exactly what makes her such a legitimate danger to Dakota. She brings unpredictability. To understand why this matchup is so intriguing, we need to look at their most recent outings. Shanelle Dyer's semifinal fight in September 2024 in the PFL Europe tournament was a key moment. She faced Dakota's previous opponent, Valentina Scatisi, a fighter famous for her toughness and relentless pressure. Many expected Dyer to either finish Scatisi early or gas out trying, but what happened surprised everyone. Scatisi began the fight aggressively, trying to push Shanelle backward with wild pressure. Shanelle responded with sharp kicks to the legs and accurate right hands that forced Scatisi to reconsider her approach. Shanelle maintained distance well and mixed her attacks intelligently, showing she had evolved beyond pure brawling. As the round continued, she battered Scatisi's lead leg until it bruised visibly. Scatisi, known for her insane durability, refused to go away and entered the second round even more aggressive, aiming huge punches at Shanelle's head. Shanelle absorbed the shots, tightened her guard, and fired back with her own heavy counters. She also shot for takedowns to disrupt Scatisi's rhythm, surprising many who assumed Shanelle lacked grappling skills. The final round turned into a gritty test of durability for both fighters. Shanelle unleashed her famous flying knees and pushed the pace, but Scatisi refused to fall. In the end, Dyer won by decision, a victory that showed she could fight smart when needed, not just wild. Still, the fact remained, Dakota had finished Scatisi while Shanelle could not, leaving fans debating who truly held the power advantage. Meanwhile, Dakota's performance against Sumiko Inaba in July 2025 was another reminder of her elite skill. Inaba, known for her toughness and granite chin, had bragged before the fight that she would become the new face of the PFL by beating Dakota. When the two met in Cape Town, they refused to touch gloves, a sign that this would not be a friendly contest. From the moment the bell rang, Inaba tried to pressure forward, controlling the center of the cage. But her aggression only opened her up to Dakota's precise counterpunching. Dakota cracked her immediately with a left hand, stunning the crowd. Inaba switched tactics, trying to pin Dakota against the fence to smother her long-range strikes. But Dakota, drawing from years of Muay Thai training, dominated the clinch, reversing positions effortlessly and landing elbows and knees on exit. Once she found space, Dakota unleashed vicious combinations against the cage, attacking the body and head with ruthless precision. Inaba took the damage bravely, refusing to step backward despite her swelling face. In round 2, Dakota maintained her composure, while Inaba charged again. This time, Inaba walked straight into Dakota's trap. Dakota fired sharp knees to the solar plexus, followed by clean right hands that made Inaba stumble. Dakota then launched a barrage of body shots, elbows, and knees, showcasing the best shot selection in women's MMA. Inaba, being incredibly tough, kept absorbing punishment without going down. Dakota controlled every position, every exchange. She moved from orthodox to southpaw and back, picking angles while barely taking damage herself. By the final round, Dakota wanted the finish. She had already ended her previous 9 opponents with knockouts or TKOs and planned to make Inaba number 10. But in the middle of the action, Dakota signaled to her corner that she had broken her left arm. Even with a broken arm, she kept fighting aggressively, switching to elbows, knees, and right-hand shots. Inaba tried to take advantage, attempting a takedown, but Dakota defended easily. She even mocked Inaba mid-fight, taunting her swollen, bruised opponent while picking her apart with strikes. When the final bell rang, the outcome was obvious. Dakota won every single round with ease, delivering a masterclass despite fighting most of the match with one functional arm. Now all eyes turn to the potential showdown between Dakota Ditcheva and Shanelle Dyer. The matchup is fascinating because it is a true clash of styles. Dakota brings discipline, structure, and strategy, while Shanelle brings unpredictability, aggression, and chaos. Dakota is taller, rangier, and technically sharper. Shanelle is shorter, more compact, and hits with explosive power from unexpected angles. Dakota wins with precision. Shanelle wins with violence. Dakota's history shows she dismantles aggressive fighters by staying calm and punishing openings. Shanelle's history shows she thrives against fighters who cannot handle pressure. Their strengths directly challenge each other. Shanelle's forward march could either overwhelm Dakota or set her up to be countered brutally. Dakota's technical striking could frustrate Shanelle or leave openings for Shanelle's wild looping power shots. This fight also holds emotional weight. They are both British fighters, both rising stars, and both undefeated in the PFL. For Dakota, this fight would be about proving that no one from her region can overtake her position. For Shanelle, this would be the chance to shake up the division and claim her place as the next big thing. For fans, it would be a collision of calm precision versus chaotic destruction. If this fight gets booked, it may become one of the most explosive matchups in women's MMA. As the MMA world waits to see whether Dakota Ditcheva and Shanelle Dyer will finally meet inside the cage, the conversation continues to grow because their styles, personalities, and recent performances suggest a matchup that could be explosive from the opening bell. Both fighters have carved out their own identities in the PFL, and both have earned reputations that make this potential showdown one of the most intriguing matchups in women's MMA. Shanelle enters every fight with a fiery determination and unrestrained aggression. She charges forward with heavy hands, unpredictable angles, and a willingness to absorb punishment just to land her own power shots. Her short, stocky frame gives her a low center of gravity that helps her throw powerful hooks, grind forward, and create chaos in close range. Her eyes always carry a wild look, never backing up, never hesitant, and always searching for a moment to knock her opponent unconscious. This is what gives her the unique aura that many fighters do not possess. She brings pressure that suffocates opponents, and when that pressure lands cleanly, she becomes a dangerous threat. Her fight against Valentina Skitidze, although it did not end in a knockout, proved that she had the cardio, the toughness, and the determination to push forward even when things didn't go her way. She survived heavy shots, delivered her own counterattacks, and pushed through the final round with enough resolve to secure the decision victory. On the other hand, Dakota Ditcheva has built her legacy through discipline, composure, and flawless execution. She doesn't need wild exchanges or reckless pressure to assert dominance. Instead, she uses sharp timing, Measured strikes, excellent footwork, and intelligence to break opponents down. Her long legs allow her to control distance, and her understanding of range makes her difficult to touch cleanly. When opponents charge forward, they often run into her front kicks, her clean jabs, or her devastating knees. Dakota's ability to remain calm under fire separates her from many brawlers who rely purely on power. She reads opponents quickly, adapts to their movements, and punishes them with precision. Her victory over Sumiko Inaba, especially considering she fought half the bout with a broken arm, highlighted her mental toughness and strategic mind. Even with an injury, she used her remaining weapons, her right hand, her elbows, her knees, and her movement, to continue dominating the fight. This adaptability is part of what makes Dakota so dangerous. She can win in multiple ways, even when things go wrong. Stylistically, the matchup between Dakota and Shanelle becomes a battle of calm versus chaos. Shanelle is known for dragging her opponents into brawls. She thrives in close quarters, where her power punches and explosive knees can be most effective. Dakota, however, excels in open space, where she can use her reach advantage, keep the fight at her preferred range, and pick Shanelle apart with clean strikes. If Shanelle manages to corner Dakota against the cage, she can force messy exchanges where Dakota's technical edge becomes less useful. If Dakota keeps the fight in the center and maintains distance, Shanelle may struggle to close the gap without taking significant damage along the way. Both women have strengths that directly challenge the other's weaknesses. Shanelle's power can crack through anyone's defense if she lands cleanly. Dakota's precision and timing can punish any reckless movement that Shanelle makes. Their mentalities also play a huge role. Dakota rarely shows emotion before fights. She enters the cage smiling, relaxed, and focused on her strategy. She never engages in trash talk and never loses her composure. Shanelle, however, is emotionally driven. She uses intensity, adrenaline, and psychological warfare to fuel her performances. She thrives off the energy of a fight and often looks more dangerous the more chaotic things become. If these two women ever face each other, the build-up will be fascinating to watch because their personalities will clash as much as their fighting styles. Dakota's cool confidence versus Shanelle's fiery aggression is a contrast that fans love to see. Another intriguing layer is that both women represent the future of British women's MMA. Dakota is already viewed as a potential global superstar. Shanelle, meanwhile, is considered one of the most dangerous prospects in the region. A fight between them would not just be about rankings, it would be about pride, identity, and legacy. It would determine who carries the torch for their region moving forward and who becomes the face of the next generation of female fighters. Fans in the UK and Europe and around the world would tune in to witness two of the region's best collide. If we look at their strengths individually, Dakota has superior distance control, a wide range of striking tools, and a proven ability to finish fights with everything from punches to knees to kicks. She also has a developing grappling game, as shown in her submission victories and her ability to neutralize wrestling threats. Shanelle, in contrast, brings raw knockout power, aggression, and a relentless pace that forces opponents to react rather than think. She may not have the same level of technical striking as Dakota, but she makes up for it with unpredictability. When she throws with everything she has. That level of commitment can be both a weapon and a risk. If she lands, she can send Dakota to the canvas. If she misses, Dakota may counter her with precision and force Shanelle into trouble early. Their durability also raises questions. Dakota has taken clean shots before and never shown signs of breaking. Her chin, her defense, and her ability to stay composed under pressure have kept her safe in dangerous exchanges. Shanelle's fights have shown that she can withstand heavy punishment and keep marching forward, but facing Dakota's accuracy is a new kind of test. Dakota doesn't just hit hard, she hits smart. She targets the body, the legs, and the head with intentional patterns that wear opponents down systematically. Shanelle would have to find a way to disrupt Dakota's rhythm from the opening seconds. Hesitation would allow Dakota to take control of the distance, and once Dakota sets the tempo, it becomes very difficult for opponents to take it back. Now the MMA community wonders, if they meet, who wins? This is the type of fight where fans split down the middle. Supporters of Dakota believe her precision, calmness, reach, and technique will shut down Shanelle's wild approach. They argue that Dakota's experience against aggressive fighters, her Muay Thai foundation, and her ability to adapt mid-fight give her a clear advantage. Supporters of Shanelle believe her power, her unpredictability, and her fearless mentality will break through Dakota's structure. They see Shanelle as the kind of fighter who can shock the world with one explosive moment. The truth is that both outcomes are possible, which is exactly why the matchup is so gripping. The final takeaway is simple. Dakota Ditcheva and Shanelle Dyer represent two sides of the same coin. Discipline versus chaos, precision versus power, calculation versus instinct. If this fight becomes reality, it will not only test their physical abilities, but also their mental strength, their strategy, and their ability to adjust under pressure. Fans want answers, coaches want clarity, fighters want victory, and if these two undefeated forces collide, the result might be one of the most memorable fights in PFL women's history. Whether Dakota's calm precision prevails or Shanelle's raw aggression triumphs, one thing is certain: the MMA world will be watching.